for the future of DOJ?
Yeah, well, that's really the most important question here, right? Because we know that Pam Bondi presided over essentially the gutting of the Department of Justice, firing dozens upon dozens of attorneys. Many others quit because of objections to the directions that their work was being pushed. She basically gave up the notion that the department should be committed to
What's
the
that?
rule of law and should be independent of the White
Oh,
House.
okay. Which part do you want me to? Uh, oh, with the DOJ and stuff. Yeah, so back around 2008, 9, and 10. Yeah, people were bringing that to the attention. That goes right in line with a lot of the stuff other people and private investigators were trying to bring up concerns with that targeting of non vaxxers, Nazis, bullies, just crime control stuff. Yeah, it was bullshit and they know it. And a lot of people were horrified and petrified at what was happening. And it's sad at the innocent people that just kind of disappeared. Really good people. Right, so with the DOJ, if you remember, 2008, right around the time we had just dealt with the Maine Parent Federation, and that was very scary for us. Absolutely horrible how they were ignoring the concerns with vaccines and SSRIs and crying. They were literally crying about how Prozac helped them when Mummy died, and some hick that left a dog out in the cold out in Whitefield in the 90s. Right, and so we've been very familiar with these groups and activists and pieces of shit that, when they say stuff, sometimes these hicks and hooligans and heathens and mongrels, destitutes, they like to get a rise out of people, as you can see. Yeah, and you just got to shake it off usually, and when other people don't, and it just kind of rhetoric that gets tossed around has systemic racism and stuff like that. Yeah, Mike Johnson can tell you all about that and the connecting lines from here to Florida. Bible Belt, Silicon Valley. Yeah, it's not a fucking secret. People need to wake the fuck up. Right, so in 2008, after we had dealt with that horrific nightmare with the Maine Parent Federation, plus we were dealing with Lyme treatment and infectious disease specialists, and our first son being diagnosed with autism and that scare, and our house being burnt down and things like that. Yeah, it was absolutely horrible and scary. We had moved in here in 2006 when our home was burnt down in a fire, so all that was in the mix. We were diagnosed with Lyme disease in 2006 as well, chronic Lyme disease. Mom had to take me out of state, and they said there were only 2 labs in the whole U.S. that could test for it. And I was very sick with it. Yeah, I think he actually told me I was sick as a dog with it, were his words. And that, God forbid, they try to talk about probiotics or they'll be tarred and feathered in the street. Yeah, and I started looking into the history of this doctor and other things, and he'd been getting harassed since '99, and I think he was Bush's doctor. Yeah, and when you look back at how they scared Bush with the Lyme disease, Bay of Pigs shit, what was going on with 9/11. Bunch of pedo rings, huh, Alex Jones? Sourcefield Investigations, yeah. Yeah, so 2008, yeah, we had moved into some of the apartments of Fred Wheeler in Waterville. There were concerns about this gentleman. Yeah, and there was a case taken out with him, and they sent out letters back years ago. Yeah, so they've been doing all this stuff, really just trying to cover things up. They're not doing anything, they're just covering up what they're doing. People lacing apartment buildings. Yeah, that guy had a bunch of different apartments. We stayed in 2 different apartments of his in Waterville, one on silver, one on gold. I almost knocked that motherfucker out. Fucking little prick. Well, when you know what people are doing, right? Anyways, is that what you wanted us to mention about the DOJ? Yeah, so and then when you see again how that's connected to a lot of the state workers and activists and people trying to get the Karens and the non-vaxxers and the bullies and yeah, so that's all fine and dandy. That's why we said to people, do your thing, that's fine. But when some of these punks take advantage of all the protection they have from all this fucking bullshit going on and they know they can get away with fucking murder and fucking these kids being protected by these fucking psychos that are getting friggin' the streets filled with protesters and psychos protecting people and immigrants they don't even know, just attacking certain entities, ICE and this and that, and when you understand what that's connected to. Right, why would they get people, what would be the fear propaganda towards ICE? And then go back 3 to 5 years, it was the police. Have you ever noticed, like, cops and police? If you drop the C from cops, you have ops. And if you drop the pol from police, you have ICE. Oops the daisy. No, it's just absolutely retarded that anyone tries to even take sides with Democrat, Republican. What about state troopers? Game wardens? Yeah, some might be dickheads, some might not be. And? Yeah, because someone was racist once upon a time. That gives you a right to just totally blow off all of the justice system that keeps our system running and safe. Well. No, excuse me, pardon me. Let me get out of your way. I know, right? They're fucking monsters, dude. They're insane. So anyways, yeah, my name's Mary. We're in Augusta, Maine. I have 4 children here. My youngest 2 are in the hands of sick, murderous pedophiles. And when you look back at what we've been saying and how these fucking nasty people around here and what they've been saying and reporting and doing, I can't fucking believe it. But, you know, I can't deny reality. You know, I have to disassociate from a lot of things most of the time because of how horrific it is. No, your kids are being fucked and tortured by punks who get off. I know, they love the fear torture, don't they? And teasing these kids. No, when you actually see it. Look at what he did to his own kid back in 2012. Was it 2013? Easter. Yeah. Thank you for fact checking. See? I love it when people do that because then others in class realize. Right, because they know who that is, right? Yeah. Don't listen to us. Yeah, you beat him up in the tub. I heard thrashing around and I knocked on the door. I just happened to come home early for some reason. I forgot something. And I heard thrashing around in the tub. And I knocked on the door and I was told to mind my own business. But he went home right after that. Yeah, he had his bath, he got him dressed, he took him home to his mother's. Yeah, a cop shows up the next day. It was Easter. Shows me pictures. Black hand marks, scars on the kid's neck. When I asked him questions about it, it was none of my business, right? But I think he did say, yeah, he was getting water in his ears. He wasn't going to whine about getting waters in his ears. Yeah, not going to raise sissy kids, right? Sad. No, didn't get any jail time for that. You would think so, huh? Nope, nothing. Not a fucking thing. She took him to court and got full custody. End of story. Yeah, and that was all. I told them they weren't going to fucking get away with this shit. And that was right around the time, if you check the records, that I lost use of a fucking arm for 3 months. The dog's leg blew up. Blood fucking went everywhere. We had to have him cremated. Yeah, so it's not a fucking joke. So the proper authorities around here need to step the fuck up, because these fucking monkeys don't care and they're protecting their fucking drugs and crimes and dogs. Fucking nasty pigs. You're welcome. You have any other questions, comments, or concerns? We're right here, sir. And madame. Okay, thank you. You're welcome.